So I'm fumed and covertly poisoned by a racist, white supremacist, LGBT, feminist, and token minority society that believes in reinforcing the pre-existing social order using the military, the police, the corporate networks, etc. They've done this all throughout history. There's many programs that are an example. COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, etc. No one denies these programs exist. People talk about aliens and reptilians and they don't believe them. But everyone knows the government comes together with this network to harass people. They know people are arrested all the time for conspiracy to sell drugs, etc. Okay, conspiracy to commit a crime and so on and so forth. All right, with that being considered, one must understand there's a reason why my form has changed. Right now I'm kneeling down on the stairs. I'm 6'4". I'm the son of a Nigerian brain surgeon and the son of a white general surgeon. Okay, so I'm high-bred, high. Okay, now first of all, let us consider the evolution. So I'm going to make 3 points that prove definitively that I'm the top martial artist, unless you're an idiot. The first point has to do with evolution and the martial art principles. Okay, once they come together, there's no other way it could be. I can prove my point in this point alone. The evolutions of Nigerians and Africans are different than every other race in the world. Okay, the black skin, big lips, the various types of hair that is different. There's significant points of references that has to do with gene expression that makes this clear. Okay, when we look at Nigerians historically, now there's a modern liberal movement to breed the Nigerians that are more gay, more childish, more kind of cartoon seeming, more friendly. They want to destroy the Shaka Zulus, if you will. Okay, Shaka Zulu was a Zulu South African, mind you, but because they've suppressed Nigerians so much, I have to use that example. In fact, did you know the N-word is a variation, is a play on words for Niger and Nigeria, okay? The N-word, IA, I alpha, it goes that deep. We look at the word Obi, Kuro Obi, black belt, okay? That's actually my third point. Basically, Obi is evil spelled backwards. We'll get to that later. So let's talk about the evolution of Nigerians. So DNA backwards is and. It's a good way for you to remember this. DNA backwards is and. And what? So the Germans, right? They're tall. Okay, some of them are strong, some are thin. And do they have extraordinary coordination? Do they have martial prowess from generations of being skilled martial assassins, martial art warriors? No. They carry broadswords. They were in the militaries. They have generations of building toward brute force combat. Okay, axes, long swords, broadswords, weapons like this. They did not go through the jungles, the thick jungles, with knives and spears. So they did not develop these sort of mortar skills, fine mortar skills, intensity in regards to martial arts. They have a more unfocused brute force intensity. And as soon as you say martial arts, anyone with sense knows that being surgical and fast is superior to brute force. The ogre swings his club, you dodge it, and you cut off his head, or you stab him in the neck or the eye, you stab him in the stomach, you cut off his dick, etc. Okay? Surgical, speed, agility, dexterity, intensity. The martial art principles automatically rule out Europe. It rules out Asia when you think it through. Okay? We'll get to that. Ultimately, it leads you to Africa. Now, not any African. The common Somalian who's skinny, who's malnourished, okay? We look at the spectrum and say, hey, what does a Somalian look like when he's healthy? What does his ancestors look like? As we do a comparison and we consider numbers and how Nigeria is by far the most populated African country and what the numbers are like and what the people are like and where the African Americans come from. They don't come from Ethiopia and Somalia. They disproportionately come from Nigeria. Okay, so it doesn't take very long for us to get to the conclusion that Nigeria is the bell that rings the loudest. It's more populated than Niger, Cameroon, all the West African countries. First, when we look at it, they talk about sub-Saharan Africans as the black Africans. Okay, West Africa is the bell that rings the loudest. To make a long story short, when you analyze this thing carefully in its historical context, you get the Nigerians are the bell that rings the loudest in martial arts when it comes to the martial art principles, coordination, intensity, mental prowess, mental clarity, etc. Now we also must consider that martial is marital scrambled. So yes, this is important. Martial arts, M-A, backwards is am. Who are you? God revealed himself to Moses in the Bible. I am who I am. Everyone knew who you are is important to understand how you fit into the world, into the ecosystem, into the bigger picture, into the evolutionary pyramid in terms of martial arts and not sciences. That's an important distinction to make. However, a lot of Nigerians are great scientists and so on and so forth. So two wrongs don't make a right. The word cheat in English is see heat, see, then heat. It's also he, cat, scrambled. It's also see, he, at. There's a reason for this. It's also encoded in the languages in a sense, in terms of root words, okay, how words come together, cut-ups, what the occultists would call them, that who's cheating who, okay? The N-word means ignorant, okay? It's also a play on words for no gear or in gear, okay? They want to cheat these people and make it seem like the military is the master form of martial arts and being and science and so on and so forth, okay? And it also goes back to why is the word Obi in Kuro Obi black belt, okay, when it's an Igbo word and it's even Igbo spelled backwards. We'll get to that. So we look at discipline. What is true discipline? The discipline to be intense, to have moral, mental, spiritual, and romantic clarity, to be honest, okay? If you're not honest about something and you try to take on Mike Tyson, you might get killed in a boxing match. So honesty is part of it. There's a kind of evolution. There was a natural evolutionary process where those who weren't honest in combat were killed. So honesty was a positive evolutionary trait in martial combat, and Nigeria was the pressure cooker. Other peoples kind of spread around the world, and they kind of were farmers and so on and so forth. They didn't have this extreme emphasis on combat arts, war arts, martial arts, being a warrior, etc. All right. So they cheat, therefore they have accepted defeat, is an important thing to remember. So this leads me to point number 2. I can go on and on about the martial art principles, right? Determination, will, heart, courage, and how it's obvious my argument. I'm running out of time. Number 2, the gauntlet effect. Again, if you're not honest, you go through the gauntlet. It's this thing, it's like an obstacle course with spinning swords and so on and so forth. You get killed, okay? You look at the technique, the coordination, the motor skills, okay? You look at it and say, hey, when this guy says, hey, this guy's, I move at world record speed in my punches, okay? My kicks are coordinated, precise, on point. If people look at this situation and say, hey, that doesn't matter, they're not going to be able to cut the distance. I played basketball for years. I'm fast on my feet. One of my main attributes is the skywalking footwork, if you will. I can advance quickly. I can retreat quickly. And I have world record speed with my hands. So you look at this thing, how am I going to get around his defense? How am I going to get around his techniques? His defense is just as quick as his strikes are. So I can respond to my world record speed, which no one else has, with my blocks. Okay, that's part of why they're filming me and cripple me and poison me and editing my videos and pictures as well. It goes back to cheat, see, he, at, what, right? Editing the video, Vi, D, E-O. E-O is a pagan deity. It's also E, mean temple and sumer. We'll go on and on about that, but I'm running out of time. So again, the gauntlet effect, Tati, being straightforward and honest through the use of the sticks, which shows us that sparring is the way to show who's the top martial artist, being straightforward and honest through sparring with the sticks and the feet. All right, 3. We see the sun versus the yin-yang. Again, in Eastern martial arts, we look at what is their driving force. It has to do with intensity, Ra, alpha, Ra. Okay, the leopard, the lion. Okay, so what is the difference between a bunny rabbit, kind of hopping around, and a leopard in a focused way, striking surgically, or falcon in a focused way, striking surgically. So it's the essence. Obi means King Heart Hut, essence, temple, center, core. Okay, Obi backwards is Igbo. Kuro Obi, black belt, a sign of rank. Okay, there's degrees. So what the sun burns, it is 10,000 degrees. The degrees of the angle when the falcon strikes, there's all kinds of parallels and connections here. But to make a long story short, between these 3 points, you are fucking insane if you don't know I'm the top martial artist. And most people are smart enough to tell the difference between a leopard and a cat, or a leopard and a lion, and how the leopard is a much more masterful killer and hunter. It runs across tree branches like it's nothing. It runs down at trees. It strikes. It runs faster. Has a certain combination of skills that transcends the cheetah and the lion.